Okay, question 61. What do we have in front of us? We have a scenario where we have 4 lines, and hopefully you can just pick these up straight away as we're looking at this. Whoops, that's all quite very jumpy. So we have here these 4 lines, and what we're looking at is you can pick straight away the D, of course, are your fixed assets. Sorry, your fixed costs. Of course, C, because they don't change obviously with the with output. Then we have C, which is purely variable costs, literally just from the start. And then A is your revenue, your total revenue, of course. And then B, of course, is your total costs, and your total costs composed of your fixed cost and your variable. So you can see that B is really the sum of C and D put together. You can see that that distance is the variable cost that's just pushed up for the whole period. And so that's what we're looking at. So D being your fixed costs, C being your variable costs, A being your revenue, and B therefore being your total costs. And that's what's happening with question 60. Question 61. Let's look at question 62 and yeah, play through this. Right. Yeah. I think what's important to highlight, to always remember, is that the cost break-even is to do with is based on the contribution per unit. So we need to look at what's going on with the contribution per unit. So the first thing to really find out is what is the cost per pole. And so what we have in front of us is because these are built in batches, we have the cost of 150 poles, right? So what we really should be looking for is the full cost, the cost of one pole, 250 divided by 150 poles. And so we have here, yes, 75 plus 200 plus 250, which is that 525 divided by 150, gives you £3.50. So this is what the cost of each pole is, really, isn't it? The marginal cost of each pole. The marginal cost of each pole is. So we know what the selling price is. We know the selling price of each pole is £10, and we know what the fixed overheads are. So the contribution on each pole is £10 minus £3.50, which is equal to £6.50. This is the contribution on each pole. And if the contribution on each pole is £6.50 and you have a fixed overheads of 325, you can divide that by the contribution on each pole. So 325 divided by £6.50 is 50. So we need 50 poles to break even. 50 poles to break even. Now we know, of course, that break even, what we mean by the break even sales revenue really is the break even volume, number of poles at selling price, if you like. So that's 50 poles at £10, which is equal to 500, which is equal to £500. And that's your answer for that. That's your answer for that. Okay, right. So what's interesting with this question here is that it's telling us that we also manufacture these 2.8 meter poles. We manufacture these in batches of 50 poles, and we make a contribution of 1,500 per batch, right? So I suppose you can find what you can find what the contribution is per pole, right? Because if you're making 1,500 pounds per batch, and in a batch you have 50 poles, that means your contribution per pole is 1,500 divided by 50, which is equal to 30. Yes, so you're making £30 per pole. That's your contribution. Now you know the fixed cost of 450, and like we've said, once we start talking about target profit, in effect we are turning the target profit into a fixed cost as well. So in effect, the number of poles that we would need to sell to hit the target profit, as well as, of course, the fixed cost would be the 450 plus the 2,400 divided by, of course, the contribution per unit. The contribution per unit is 30. So whether you say, let us first of all hit the 450 and then hit the 2,400, it's fine. But this is your ultimate equation. So you have 2,400 plus 450, which of course is 2,850 divided by 30. 2,850 divided by 30, and that's 95. Yes, so you have you have to sell 95 poles to hit the target profit of 2,400. That's the first thing. And of course, with the margin of safety, what we're really doing is saying what is the relationship between break even and actual what is break even and where we currently are with our target. And I think that's what I'm somewhat looking for. And the only target I can find, so to speak, is related to this, because right now we're trying to hit a target profit of 2,400. Oh, sorry, here we are. It says we've set a target of profit, right? So this is it. This is a target profit, which means that let's find the break even first. So the break even number of poles is 450 over 30. And 450 over 30, of course, is 15 poles. So you have a situation where you have 15 poles. You have 15 poles. So if your break even is 15 poles, you intend to sell at 95 poles. So your margin of safety is now 95 minus 15. Of course, in terms of in poles, it's just 95 minus 15. So 95 minus 15, 95 minus 15 will take you to 80 poles. And so your margin of safety is 80 poles. Cool. And I think, yeah, that's a good place to end that, because it means that we can then come in and focus on this new section, limiting factors, separately. Okay.